The CPT, or Cognitive Performance Test, is used as a serial measurement to track the change of function over time in individuals with Alzheimer's disease. It is not an ADL test. Some of the subtests use basic ADLs or IADLs to assess cognitive functional information to identify the pattern of occupation, but it is not a traditional ADL test. The primary goal is to identify which deficits in working memory compromises the performance in daily occupations, because working memory drives all occupational performance. The CPT is comprised of 7 different subtests, including medbox, shop, wash, toast, phone, dress, and travel, in which I will go into further detail after the instructions. So based on Allen's cognitive disability theory, the CPT is organized into 6 cognitive levels that range from normal, which is 6, to profound, which is 1. Just to give an idea, like normal, which is 6, the client would demonstrate efficient and error-free execution of the task, where profound, the client would not respond well and typically needs extensive nursing care. Each subtask is rated in descending order, so like a 6 would be the best, like stated before, efficient and no errors, down to 1 and so on. So it would be like 6, 5.5, 5, 4.5, and so on. And then the scores are averaged, giving a total score. For each subtask, the therapist should first offer the whole task and then grade it to the client's ability. And there are instructions on how to do that for each subtask. Non-specific verbal cueing is permitted. For example, what do you do first? If the client asks, what do you do now? Do what you think is best and finish up. Administering less than 4 subtasks can skew the CPT score, so at least 5 subtasks or at least 4 subtasks should be given or administered. As stated before, a home assessment may be appropriate. This can be given in a facility, in a hospital, in a long-term skilled nursing facility, but it can also be done at home. The only thing with that is there are 2 subtasks that are not portable, and that is the dress one and the travel subtask. The ACLS, which is the Allen Cognitive Level Screening, and RTI, which is a routine task inventory, are often used in conjunction with the CPT and are included in the scoring section at the end. So I'm going to get into the subtasks. The first one is the medbox subtask, in which the client is required to follow directions on 4 dummy medications, in which beads are used instead of pills, and set them up in 2 pill boxes accordingly for 1 week. So you'd have the AM, PM, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The subtasks should be omitted for those who have a cognitive level of 3 or under, in fear of the client putting the beads in their mouth. The second one is the shop subtask, in which the client is given a folding wallet containing 1 $5 bill, 2 $1 bills, 2 quarters, 2 dimes, 2 nickels, and 8 pennies. And they are given the option of either 12 belts, 2 of each size, and 2 different colors, so red or brown, or 6 pairs of the same style glove, 2 of each size. And they're required to purchase the correct size of either the belt or the gloves and give correct change. So the wash subtask. The client is required to wash hands at a sink, but has to choose from a grooming box that contains more than what they would need. So it would contain a bar of soap, aftershave, toothbrush, floss, and a comb. And they would have to choose the bar of soap, make it to the sink, and wash their hands and dry them appropriately. The toast subtask is the client required to set up and make toast with butter and jam on it. More condiments and cooking utensils are provided in order to allow for the client to make choices, And in the instructions, it does say to not have the toaster plugged in, so the client would have to move the toaster from the table to where the outlet is, and then do all of the making of the toast themselves and preparing. The phone subtask is when the client is required to make a phone call to a hardware store to find the cost of 1 gallon of white paint. And in the instructions, it does say to have like a few note cards of 3 or 4 different hardware stores, so you're not calling the same one each time, but the client is required to find a hardware store, write down the number, and then ask the appropriate questions, which are the cost of a white gallon of paint. The dress subtask is where the client is required to choose from a wardrobe in which attire would be appropriate for a cold, rainy day. There are multiple articles of clothing to choose from, again, requiring the client to make a choice. So there are different sizes, and then there's male and female. So, for example, if someone said for me to choose the attire for a cold, rainy day, I would choose like a smaller, medium, women's heavily lined raincoat, because it goes for rain and it's warm. And then for a travel subtask, the client is required to locate a set of stairs by using a map of a facility. So you would get either like the emergency plan or just a general map that someone made of the facility, and then have them find a set of stairs. This is another one that you couldn't do in the home, as well as a dress subtask, but being able to follow directions and find a location. And then for scoring, you would add up each of the levels, the 5.5 like stated before, and then you'd get an average, and it would go along with the ACLS and the RTI, and then that would give your results for the CPT.